This channel is focused on enjoyable travel, but we were recently reminded not every trip we take is for fun and games. As we glide along the Malibu coast by boat, the drone rises above the charred beaches and hills of Malibu, an area still closed to the public since the Palisades Fire. What you see here isn't visible from the road. Pacific Coast Highway has been shut down to non-official traffic since January 7th, when the blaze tore through the area. This footage, as haunting as it is, brings us back to November 2018, when the Woolsey Fire forced Kathy, myself, and our dog Annie, along with thousands of others, to evacuate our homes. It started late on November 8, 2018. When we last heard, the fire was on the other side of the 101 freeway, what you would think would be a significant firebreak. Overnight, we lost all power and communications. No alerts, no updates, no sirens. Our decision to evacuate was only based on the smoke density and the wind direction that told us it was time to go. We packed up a week's worth of clothes, our photo albums, computers, hard drives, along with Annie's bed, leash, food, and bowls. As we got to the main access road, we had two choices of direction to evacuate. One of those routes was already engulfed in flames, so we went the only other direction open to us, to the Pacific Coast Highway. But it was at a complete standstill. All of Malibu was evacuating towards Los Angeles in what turned out to be a 5-hour traffic jam. After sitting in traffic for about an hour, we decided to go in the other direction and drive through the plume of the fire towards Camarillo. Fortunately, we made it before the fire got to the coast.
Worse, but there's a reason for it. You got mandatory evacuations in Malibu, from Malibu Canyon west to the county line.
We eventually made it to a friend's house that night. I had no idea if our home was still standing. No news, no power, just waiting. The next day, we moved to another friend's place closer to our neighborhood. From there, we could actually see the firefighting efforts. It was surreal. Planes and helicopters dropping water and retardant as smoke filled the sky. Eventually, we were lucky enough to find a local hotel that had a vacancy. After a week, we were finally allowed daytime access to our home through a fire road, since the main roads were closed while power lines were being rebuilt. Miraculously, our home had been spared, but the fire had burned right up to our property on 3 sides. Our block wall, the street, and some brave firefighters who used our driveway as a base of operation were likely all that stood between our home and destruction. 13 homes on our street were lost. One neighbor didn't survive. While we were waiting for power to be restored, we got to work, scrubbing smoke odor from ceilings, walls, everything. We had to throw away everything from a refrigerator and freezer, which were without power since the fire. Power was finally restored on November 21st. We were able to move back in. Then we had carpets shampooed or rugs replaced our attic insulation, and used an ozone generator to purge the smell of smoke. Since so many people were affected, it was nearly impossible to hire help. Some unscrupulous contractors charged people for repair estimates required to make insurance claims. And then came the next blow. Our insurance was canceled. Sure, they paid out some costs over our deductible, but then dropped our policy entirely. After paying 3 decades of hefty premiums on home and auto, we were unceremoniously dumped. They claimed to know a thing or two about insurance in their ads, but we certainly wouldn't recommend them to friends. We are evil, never file a claim with us. We insured against wildfire with the California Fair Plan, the last resort insurance pool, and added a secondary policy for everything else. It was more expensive, far more complicated, and less coverage. For our neighbors who lost homes, the pain was unimaginable. It took nearly a year just to remove debris. Rebuilding? That's still going on today, 7 years later. Some people left and never returned. What was once a peaceful neighborhood turned into a full-scale construction zone. Dump trucks, contractors, workers. It was nonstop. The Palisades Fire in 2025 is another reminder of the fragile balance. It scorched over 1,200 acres in steep terrain. Though no lives were lost, over 5,000 homes were gone. Swift evacuations saved lives, but 150,000 people had to be relocated. They're still trying to understand how things got so out of control. The Woolsey Fire, by comparison, burned 96,949 acres. It destroyed over 1,600 structures and claimed 3 lives. Whether your house survives or not, a wildfire leaves scars you can't see in the photos. It disrupts every part of your life: home, health, finances, community. Recovery is not just about rebuilding walls, it's about reclaiming peace of mind. 488 homes burned down in Malibu alone during the Woolsey Fire. Less than 4 in 10 have been rebuilt for a number of reasons, including confusing insurance policies, long rebuilding timelines, economic challenges arising from the fires, and lengthy lawsuits that send most of the recovered funding to lawyers instead of victims. The insurance system is a travesty. Policies are canceled when they're needed most. Premiums skyrocket, coverage shrinks. There has to be a better way. Perhaps a unified risk pool that spreads costs along all hazards, not just fire. Maybe it's time to remove the profit motive from the necessities of health and hazard coverage. It certainly deserves a place in serious policy discussions. We need more awareness. We need better prevention. And when tragedy does strike, we need systems that help, not abandon those affected. A great comedian from Finland, Ismo Leikola, jokes, "If we can put a man on the moon, why can't we make a better vacuum cleaner?" I'm pretty sure there's different people working on those problems. Maybe it's time to enlist the help of outsiders to the firefighting community to design more effective systems to protect lives and property from these annual disasters. Certainly before the state drives out all its considerable engineering talent. It's time to reconsider harvesting chaparral for fire breaks as a carbon-neutral biofuel, installing active sprinkler and water lines to create effective fire breaks in strategic places, and even update building codes to include both active and passive measures for homes to make them more survivable. It's not like we have to guess the wind direction on any one of these regular firestorms. There's a lot of knowns here. To our government, insurers, and to each of us as neighbors and citizens, let's do better. Let's help people recover. Let's work harder to ensure these fires don't spiral beyond control. Thanks for watching. Please share this with someone who needs to see the real story behind the headlines. Now we resume our normal programming.